What up, everybody, and welcome to Baz on Blades. My name is Baz, and I talk about blades. Today's featured blade is the Knives Valiant Flipper Folder. This is a model 717D. D is in dog. And what that D signifies is the color scheme and blade finish on this particular model. Like many knives, or all knives actually, they have that alphanumeric designator. It tells you what combination of blade finish and handle color you're getting. With this particular D model, you're in the combination of stone wash and machine satin finished blade and blue titanium handle. Of course, these will also have the carbon fiber inlay across all the variants of this model. I want to say, first of all, this is a knife that was sent to me in a pass around for knife reviewers on YouTube. This pass around is hosted by Zelric. I'm sure everybody is familiar with Zelric and his channel. Zell has many connections in the industry that small channels like myself and many others just do not have. He is an American rep for knives, and I believe he does some knife repairs, if I'm not mistaken. And he does get a lot of product through his channel, and he is gracious and kind enough to include the rest of the community into this. This is a blessing from him. Thank you very much, Zell. I very much appreciate a chance to get a hold of these knives that I probably, at this point in life, would not be able to afford to purchase myself. All right, we're going to set this down really quickly. Look at the packaging, because as most knives go, it's pretty universal. You've got their brown cardboard box with the prismatic print, their social media contact information, and that's pretty much it on the box. Inside that box, you will find the now standard zipper pouch. Again, to all those companies, Kaiser, Riate, that include these pouches, thank you. This makes the purchase so much nicer. Just adding something like this in. Inside, you will find the card. You will find a branded microfiber cleaning cloth. If your particular model uses the proprietary hardware, you will have the star screw tool inside, and then some silica gel for corrosion resistance or inhibition. All right, let's go ahead. We'll set this up nice and pretty for everybody to look at, and we'll knock out the specs real quick. This is a short, stubby, fat, thick knife, guys. I have heard it described mostly like a little bulldog. And if you look at it, look at it right there, guys. If it doesn't remind you of just a little smash-faced little bulldog, that's what it reminds me of. So I'm going with that, even though that's what everybody else is using. You're looking at a 3-inch blade length, and due to a decent sharpening choil, you're slightly less than 3 inches on the cutting edge. That blade length is 7.5 centimeters as far as metrics go. Your blade stock thickness, pretty chunky at a 156 thousandths of an inch, or 3.96 millimeters, so let's call it 4 millimeters. Your blade width, 1.3 inches or 33 millimeters. Handle length, 4 inches or 10 centimeters. Handle thickness, 628 thousandths of an inch or 15.96 millimeters. Your handle width, 1.48 inches or 37.7 millimeters. Closed width, 1.7 inches or 43.3 millimeters. Your overall length, 7 inches or 17.5 centimeters. Stop pin diameter, 117 thousandths of an inch or 2.98 millimeters. Behind the edge thickness, very surprising for this almost 4 millimeter blade stock, is 22 thousandths of an inch or 0.58 millimeters. Your handle to blade ratio, a respectable 0.75, and your weight, a chunky little beast of a knife, 5.04 ounces or 143 grams. All right. And, as I went through those numbers, I know that's a lot of numbers to throw out, guys, and I don't use a pause and read sort of feature because I can't edit video. But what you're going to take away from this is a short, chunky, thick sort of knife. It's very substantial, but it is not overblown. This is not a knife that I picked up and thought to myself, that's way too thick. What I thought was, that's short and chunky. And I think that most knife enthusiasts are going to think along the same line. Now, people that may have less experience with knives or are more set in the parameters that they prefer in knives, this may be a little too hefty, thick, wide for its blade length. So keep that in mind. Material-wise, like in all premium folders, and this is what I would consider one of their premium folders. You're around the $250 price point in a titanium frame lock folder. You've got S35VN for the blade steel. That is an American-made blade steel by Crucible Steels. It is considered a premium blade steel, and I consider S35VN, I think that it is one of the more balanced premium, entry-level premium blade steels out there. It is a high carbon stainless at 1.34% carbon. You've got 14% chromium. It is a vanadium alloyed steel with 3% vanadium, a high vanadium percentage, but it is also a niobium alloyed stainless with a 0.1 to 0.4% niobium. Now, as I typically point out, when you have vanadium alloyed steels, they tend to be toothy, aggressive cutters because vanadium is a carbide former. It forms very hard particles within the matrix of the steel. But in S35VN, the N standing for niobium, niobium is also a carbide former. It forms smaller and even harder carbides than vanadium does. It also assists a little bit in the machining process, making the steel a little easier to machine. In my experience, S35VN does tend to be a pretty aggressive cutter. It is fairly easy to resharpen. For your wear resistance or edge retention, I would rate that as very good. Your toughness or impact resistance, I would rate that as very good. And your corrosion resistance, also I would rate as very good. And that is why I say that it is so very well balanced. No, it does not retain an edge as long as some of the upper end premium steels, but it's easier to sharpen. No, it is not as tough or impact resistance as some of your high-end tool steels, but it is much more corrosion resistant, and again, it's easier to sharpen. It's just, you know what, guys? It's an excellent, excellent steel. There is a reason that we see so much S35VN used across almost all of the quote-unquote premium knife manufacturers, both in the United States and in China. A lot of it even used in Japan, where they typically will tend to use more Japanese-produced high-end steels. So S35VN is very popular. In your handle, titanium slabs. They are weight relieved front and back, guys, extensively weight relieved. On this show side scale, you do have an insert or inlet. Actually, I would say it's insert since it's 360 degrees. It's insert in a piece of carbon fiber that is milled. It does have a milled pattern in it. I found myself wishing that it wasn't milled. I think that interrupts a little bit in the look of carbon fiber that I like so much, the chatoyance, the way it takes in light and reflects it back out. That's just a personal thing. This milling does add a degree of grip, so there is a positive trade-off there. You've got the typical WE titanium hardware. You can see the only piece of hardware you see on the front is the cap on the pivot. On the back, you're going to have the other side of the pivot, a small star-headed proprietary screw for your hardened steel lock face and over travel insert. Again, a repeat of the milled carbon fiber insert. You do have a milled titanium pocket clip, and you don't see any other hardware. And we're going to go ahead and cover this right now. The reason you do not is this knife uses a very unique to WE and to all other manufacturers system to connect the two body sides. And what you see on the back here, you've got a star screw and a plate. This plate is actually a legged cleat, and this cleat, let's see if I can sort of illustrate. It's like this, guys. It's got two legs on it, and those legs fit down into slots on either side of these scales. And when you screw it in, you screw those legs down into the slots, and it clamps the two halves together. Now, that screw also serves a secondary purpose. It attaches the pocket clip. There is a leg on the base of the pocket clip that goes straight through a flat leg, and this is actually, it screws through here and through that leg. So it's a very unique design, guys. For my limited time in hand, the clamp as far as the fit on it from the half to half is very good. It seems very solid in the hand, guys. If you want to see this knife disassembled, you can check out Zelrick's channel. He did do a disassembly and what's inside this knife. You can take a look at the extensive milling, that sort of cleat system that clamps it together. Very interesting video. All right, so as far as the material goes, you're all premium standard stuff here for WE in their titanium frame locks. Fit and finish wise, guys, we'll start on the blade. Again, when you get to fit and finish on WE knives, if I did 10 reviews on WE knives, I would end up saying the exact same damn things every review. The fit and finish is perfect. I have handled so many WE knives. I've owned WE knives, both their high-end, the mid-range ignition, the low-end G10 liner locks, and just the fit and finish is perfect on these things. They just do not let them leave the factory unless they are right. And as far as the internet goes, where every little issue gets blown up into a huge fireball, WE is one of those companies that you just don't see much about, and that says more than anything, because the internet is about 99.9% drama queens that make everything into a huge issue. As far as the blade grinds go, they are even side to side. The swedge is even side to side. The finish on the grinds is this nice tight stonewash finish. It is even and attractive. You've got a horizontal machined satin on the flats. This is in a flat grind, and it does have a fairly thin edge at 22 thousandths of an inch. So that's actually a pretty slicey edge for a knife that's in basically 4mm stock. This blade profile does not give you a super pointy blade, but it is well sharpened, the point is defined, and it does readily pierce. The edge grind is even side to side, guys, and if you take a look at the edge termination, look at that. Look at that. What does that tell you? That is a well done sharpening choil. It comes out in front of the plunge grind. Kudos to WE for that. Something that many manufacturers, including WE, often do not get right with their sharpening choils. Thank you, WE, for that, and let's see that on all the rest of the models. On the back of the blade, you do have a chamfered and then flat finished blade spine. You do have some sort of chunky, wide spaced, and flat top jimping that is actually pretty effective, guys. When you have the wide spacing and deep cuts, it allows flesh to be pushed down into that jimping, and it really does lock in. Again, as we've seen common over the last year, we had these 3 lines, these ball milled sort of decorative lines on the flat of the blade, and they line up with the jimping, and that's just aesthetic decoration, guys. And I do think that it's attractive, and it's good that it does line up with the jimping, so it's sort of a unified look. All right, fit and finish on the handle scale. Again, the 10 weed knives, every one of them is perfect. The machining, absolutely top quality on everything with this knife. No issues there. Everything is chamfered, everything is relieved, there's no sharp points, guys. If there's any faceting, it's where it needs to be, and it's done the right way. It is a fairly detailed handle design, is aesthetically detailed, but not really overblown. It's not too busy, guys. You've got some ball milled dimpling here, and then one long parallel line that sort of ties in with the bottom of this carbon fiber inlay. Your inlay follows the overall body lines, as so it fits. There's a overall sort of a unified, again, to use that word, look to this knife. As in the last couple of weeds that I have got a hold of and reviewed, I do like the new subdued hardware. I always wanted that look from Wee. I'm glad they're giving that to us. So, you know what, fit and finish wise, guys, we're pretty close here. You don't see any machining marks or anything. I don't know how the carbon fiber is retained side to side, but it's in there, guys. I don't know if it's if it is epoxied in or there's some physical hardware holding it in, but it's in there. There's no play or anything. Absolutely no feel that it is ever going to come out. The finish on this pocket clip is a raw bead blast, and it's sort of an industrial look. I like that. The machining on the pocket clip, of course, is perfect, the same as everything else. The anodizing on this of an attractive blue, and I did wipe this down with some Windex before I did the review, but it's already, you can see that I'm getting oil from my fingers on it, and it does change the hue just a little bit, just like all anodized titanium. Guys, I'm sorry, my allergies are bothering me. So fit and finish wise, guys, no issues there. Typical high-end Wee fit and finish. As far as action goes, like all Wee knives, the action is fantastic. The D10 is dialed in perfectly for this knife. The design, the geometry between the flipper tab and the pivot and the blade weight and the detent is absolutely perfect. The knife is very satisfying to flip, guys. The lockup is moderately early. We're at about 25% there. It is very smooth closing it down. I'm sorry, I'm so close to the camera here, guys. The centering on it is spot on also. It's a high-end Wee knife, guys. It is what we have come to expect from this company. I would be surprised if I got a hold of a Wee knife that just wasn't absolutely fantastic. Honestly, I would be surprised. I have handled quite a few of these knives. I've owned them. I've got a local dealer I can go down and put hands on, just multiple examples, and I just cannot believe that I'm going to find anything wrong with the knife. Now, we're going to go from there into ergos and utility use. And we're going to start with the blade. We've got a nice blade shape here that is, you know what, if it wasn't for the clip and drop here, I would call this just a sheep's foot type of knife. a blade profile. You get basically continuous belly, and you do have a fairly thin edge, even with the thick blade stock, because you've got this high grind. It is a very slicey, guys. No, it is not acutely pointed and stabby. That is just not something that this knife is going to excel at, because you do have this wide, blunt tip to it that's almost a reverse tanto type of tip. But as far as utility use, as far as slicing, no issue there, guys. You would think with that thick blade stock it would be tough to slice with, but it is not. As far as the ergos of the handle, for a compact 4-inch handle length, it is pretty comfortable in my medium-sized hands. For me personally, it's a little short. And I'm not saying it's short because I don't feel like I have a good grip. I'm just saying it's short. It's not my personal what I look for in the feel of gripping a knife. I believe that if you like the shorter and chunkier blades and handles, you will like this. You've got a nice wide open choil here, a pretty much neutral remainder to the handle. The back of the handle is a continuous drop radius to keep it organic. It does work very well as far as the placement of the choil to the jimping. Everything falls naturally in my grip. The thing that I have an issue with is right here at the butt end. I can feel that it's everything this handle can do just to give me that full grip. You can see the way my pinky is falling across that, and I've got nothing sticking out. I like that last little 1/2 inch. If this would have been a 4.5 inch handle, the blade to handle ratio would not have been as good, but it would have felt better in my hands personally. Your feeling about this may be different. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying you got to take that into account. As far as how thick it is and how wide it is, that actually feels fantastic. It is a very good ratio for this knife because it is a chunky, blunt, bullheaded sort of design. But keep in mind, guys, when you close this thing up, it is fairly wide. Your closed width is almost 1 3/4 inches, and I did measure that here at the pivot end, including the flipper. The rest of it is not too bad. You're about 1.5 inches or 1.6 inches, and then it is, moderately thick. It's over 1/2 inch. If 1/2 inch is your cutoff, then this is, it's more than 0.6 of an inch. You're at 628 thousandths of an inch. So keep that in mind also. But, in the pocket, guys, it carries fairly well. Look at that pocket clip. This is not leaving, a whole lot of this sticking out. You're looking at maybe 1/2 inch. That's not too bad for a milled pocket clip. It is placed nice and high on the body for a pretty good tip-up carry, although it is right hand only. I would have liked to have seen maybe this insert on the front side curtailed a little shorter so you could have had a pocket milled for universal for left and right pocket clip location. But since I'm a right-handed person, it really doesn't matter to me. It would have opened up this model for left-handed users, though. But you know what, guys? Ergonomically, it is what it is. It's short, it's stout, it's thick, it's wide. It's a little bulldog knife. And I can't really, you know what? Even though it's not really my thing, I can't ding it for that. It is what it is, unapologetically, and very well done. Great materials, fit and finish is perfect. The action is high-end wee all over and so very satisfying. The ergos, the utility use is good within its design parameter. So, you know what? Just because it's not really my thing doesn't mean jack crap. I think that if you are the type of person that likes the short, wide, stout bulldog type of flipper folders, this is a fantastic unit to grab. And keep in mind, you're going to have multiple different colors available as far as the anodizing on the handle, and then the blade is available in this combination stonewash satin finish, or you can get it with the DLC coating on the grinds combined with the machine finish satin on the flats. All right, so overall, is Baz on Blades going to recommend this? Yes, Baz on Blades is. If you like this type of knife, you will love this knife. It is very high quality, as all WE products are. That's pretty much all I can say about it, guys. Once I recommend it, you know it's good to go. I'm not going to shoot anybody wrong on that. All right. Well, as always, guys, thank you very much for taking the time to view one of my videos. God bless all of you. Thank you again to Zeldrick for the pass around, and we will talk to you guys later.